Hey everybody, this is Pete Werner coming to you from Barcelona, Spain on day two of our Magic in the Mediterranean event. And if you can see behind me, obviously I'm on board the Magic. We're actually recording this a day later, but been trying to play catch up and get everything done. We're actually doing an awful lot of production on this trip. It's a lot of fun. I mean, it's really hard to pass this off as hard work when you're in the Mediterranean, especially on the Magic. But uh, our the second day of our trip was the only full day really that we had in Barcelona, and we wanted to see as much of it as we could, get as much video, as much photos, as much content about Barcelona as we could. So in order to do that, what I did was we hired a private car and driver and guide to take us around for half a day and show us the sights of Barcelona. And it was great. We saw so much. We saw so much, and you'll see that in the video that we're putting up with this. But it was exhausting. It was trying to see this city in a day, let alone a half a day, is impossible. And when I come back to Barcelona, and I have to come back to Barcelona, it will be I will have to spend 2 or 3 days at least here, and I would recommend that anybody coming to do the Mediterranean cruise, I would give yourself at least 2 or 3 days prior to the start of the cruise in Barcelona, mainly because of the jet lag. I don't know about anybody else, but for me, jet lag gets to me, and as you can see right now, there's like these bags under my eyes. That's because I don't know what day it is. I don't know what time it is. Jet lag hits me hard. So having some extra days to kind of get yourself acclimated. Barcelona is 6 hours ahead of the east coast of the U.S. So depending on where you're coming from, it is definitely, you definitely feel it, or at least I did. But so we spent the day just, the first half of the day touring around Barcelona, and it was awesome. Like I said, the only thing is that it was very expensive to do this. It was actually 420 euros, which averages out to about $550 US. And the tour, while it was great and interesting, was geared more towards architecture and art, which I can definitely appreciate, but I can't sit here and say that it's my passion. So it kind of went, over our heads. He's talking. Our guide is talking about all these famous architects and famous artists, and the question going through my head is there an Apple store nearby? But it was really interesting, really some really beautiful things to see in Barcelona. I'd heard a lot before we came that Barcelona was a really beautiful city, and there's no doubt about it. It really is gorgeous. Some tips about Barcelona. Number one, if you're coming here, I really recommend that you brush up on your Spanish. And if you don't know Spanish at all, definitely brush up on some of the more common phrases. While there are a number of people in the city who do speak English, there are a number who do not. It's not as common as you might think. We were told that, oh yeah, everybody's going to speak English on some level in Barcelona, and that's not necessarily true. And in fact, the locals, even if you only speak very, very little Spanish, if you're making the effort, they really appreciate that, and they help you out. But if you're not making the effort, if you just expect them to speak English, we ran into a few that kind of took offense to that, and I can understand that because, I get upset when people come to America and don't speak the language. So, turnabout is fair play. So I would definitely recommend brushing up on your Spanish. The other thing about Barcelona is while there is virtually no violent crime in Barcelona, there is a lot of petty crime, petty theft, pickpockets, namely. Cell phones, wallets, pocketbooks, backpacks, things like that are real targets for these people. So being very, very cautious about what you're doing, about not keeping your wallet in your back pocket, not wearing your purse just over your shoulder, but wearing it across your chest, not putting your purse or your backpack over the back of a chair when you sit down to eat a meal, not putting your wallet or your cell phone on the table while you're eating a meal. These are all things I would normally do that in doing some research before we came, and certainly when we got here, it was verified by a number of people for us that these are good practices to get into and be mindful of. So I would also recommend that you do a search on the internet about Barcelona and crime or Barcelona and pickpockets, because that is a real issue here. There's no way around it. But if you're smart and you just take some basic precautions, you have nothing to worry about. I was really worried about that, honestly, before we got here. I was really worried that there was going to be, it was going to be really unsafe. I've never been to Europe before. I've never traveled to Europe before. So, I just kind of had all these things going through my head. But then once we got here and we walked around, I realized, okay, I was definitely blowing it out of proportion. Definitely, you have to have some common sense and be aware of your surroundings. And it's kind of hard. You're in a strange place. You're jet lagged. You don't know the language, so it's kind of difficult to stay focused on things like that. But it's important that you do it. So that is definitely a tip I would recommend. I would also recommend that if you're coming to Barcelona to do a cruise, whether it's Disney or any other cruise, that you give yourself a couple of days. First of all, like I said, beautiful city. You're going to want to spend time really exploring it, and there are some great things to see and do here. But also because of the jet lag. I don't know about anybody else, but jet lag really seems to get to me. They always say it's worse going from east to west, and of course we came from Florida. Barcelona is 6 hours ahead of the east coast of the United States, so it's enough of a time difference that you feel it. So I would definitely recommend 2 or 3 days prior to your cruise in Barcelona. There are some wonderful hotels. We stayed at the Eurostar Grand Marina, which is very close to the port. I mean, it's actually part of the complex of the port of Barcelona. So it took us 5 minutes by taxi to get here through, you know, to get here to the port to get on the Magic. So, but it also cost 20 euros for the cab ride, which I thought was ridiculous because that's about $25, $30 US for a 5 minute cab ride. So, they will stick it to you, and there's no meters either, so it's kind of a free for all. I think these guys get away with quite a bit. But, it is what it is. But go in forewarned and forearmed, and you'll have a great time. Uh, Taking that tour yesterday only left me wanting more. I definitely want to come back to Barcelona, and when I do, I'm going to make sure I have 3 or 4 days to really explore it and enjoy it. Some great food, great people, and some beautiful sights to see. So that's our report on the second day of our trip in Barcelona. Tomorrow we are going to be on board the Magic. Actually, as I said, we're on board the Magic, and we will cover the embarkation and the sail away party in tomorrow's blog and content. So thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.